Hello, 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 and welcome to Jessie James Beads. My name is Jem, and today we're making it at Walmart. How are you? What have you been up to? How's the weather where you are? Here in the middle of England, it's grey and ick. If you don't know what ick is, it just means it's a bit rubbish, to be fair. A little bit of rain, nothing too serious. It's not exactly what I'd call summery. Feels like I've woken up at the end of October, which would be cool because that's Halloween and that's lots of fun. Any road. It's my pleasure to be with you here for Jessie James Beads today with a plethora of strands which are available at your local Walmart. So I'd like to take you down to the board to take a look at some of the choices that you might be able to find. Let's press some buttons and switch you to the other camera for a second. So these are just a few of the strands that are available. Some of them you'll notice are multi-strands on one hanging ticket. So Cherie has joined us. Hello to you, my darling. How are you today? How's life and how's the weather? They say that British people are obsessed with the weather, and that's because it can change on a halfpenny bit. It really can turn around from being icky in the morning to lovely in the afternoon, and 3 seconds later it'll be raining. So, how's the weather where you are? What's the temperature report? Good morning to Sonia. Hi to Anne in California. I hope that you are all very, very well today. My name is Jem. If we haven't met before, I make a lot of jewellery. And I tend to do it with wire. If you've never worked with wire before, I want to demystify and de-fear that. We're going to be making stacking bangles today. And I have a couple of examples, which if you know me, you might have an inkling of why I've chosen these colorways. It's hot and humid down in Florida, says Janine. Whereabouts in Florida are you, my lovely? I haven't been to Florida since 89-90. And it snowed while I was there, very, very briefly, about 3 flakes, but still, it was exciting for everyone. Any idea why I might have gone for red and black? And blue and yellow. It could be badminton. It could be Sweden, but I don't think it is. Lisa is in from Fredericksburg. Is that Virginia, my darling? Ah, you're in Tampa now. I never made it to Tampa, which is a great shame because it looks like a cool place to be. What a beautiful coast as well. So, how's the weather in Fredericksburg, Lisa? How are you today? I hope that you're keeping well. We're going to be making those in a little while, but I wanted to chat to you for a few minutes about some of the strands that you might find at your Walmart. So this was originally a 4-strand of black rondelles. Marianne's in from Massachusetts. Cherie says it's a beautiful day starting out in Oregon. I love the sunrises here. It will be in the mid 80s today. Wow, 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 wow. California is hot at 100 degrees. Goodness gracious me, that's toasty warm. Definitely going to be swimming today. Zandra says hello, and Lisa says it's beautiful, no humidity. It all sounds divine. So originally, before I took this apart and made all sorts of things with it, there were 4 strands. Zandra says it's beautiful in Kentucky. That's fab news. I'm glad to hear it. Debbie says it's hot, hot, hot in Florida. So this one had a small, a slightly less small, a medium, and a large. I don't know what the sizes are. I could grab the thingy and tell you. Wait, I'll remember what the thingy's called in a second. So on my black 4-strand, the smallest is 4 mil, jumping to 5 millimeters. And then, oh, what's that? Is that 8 millimeters and 10 millimeters? So 10 millimeters is just under half an inch. So you can see the Imperial up at the top there. The first one is teeny tiny. They are lots and lots of fun and so much to work with. Come to California. I would absolutely love to come to California. I have friends in Cali. I would love to do a little road trip and go and meet everybody. Hello from Vero Beach in Florida, the Treasure Coast and the Space Coast. I did go to Canaveral/Kennedy. Lovely to have your company today, Sunny. Thank you for hanging out with us. Brought the teal trio. I've got some aqua cubes. Let's have a look and see if I've got the teal trio. That's this one. I'm going to take you through all of the samples that I have before we get making. Zandra says, I bought a few sets from our local Walmart. I love them. Marianne says, hello, Jem. Lovely day here and a special day today. It will be high 70s today. Looking forward to your ideas. That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you for hanging out with us. Tell me about your special day, my sweet. I hope it's enjoyable for you. So 4-strand black. I did use a little bit of that, I'll be honest. And then I've got red cubes, navy cubes, and yellow cubes. These are all very, very cool, so much so that I snaffled some of them to use in the demonstration pieces, which I'll pop back on screen in just a second. In addition, I've got these gorgeous aqua cubes. They're a beautiful Amazonite colour. Absolutely lovely. Your Walmart, Janine, hasn't got any at the moment. I'm sorry to hear that. Go and speak to the manager and tell him you want them on the stand ASAP. It might work, it might not. Who am I to know? That teal is gorgeous. Perhaps we'll work with teal today. Maybe you can help me choose between teal or the 4-strand in grey. Now, this is a sultry set. A sultry colorway. Really, really beautiful. If you find that the black colorway doesn't particularly suit your skin tone, and I'm pale, I'm like paper that comes out of a copy machine. That's my skin tone. That's pretty much, if I ever wear powder on my face, it has to be translucent because I'm just that terrible color of not very well looking. So sometimes black can be a little bit harsh. So instead of going for your black, you could go for this sexy, sultry, silvery grey. We might work with that strand set today. Who can say? Hopefully available online. I do hope so, my darling. You can have a gander. Let me know if you manage to find them. You can always hit up our friendly customer services team at Jessie James Beads to see if they've got any intelligence they can share with you. Jessica's joined us. Hello, darling. Huggles, Jem, and everyone, she says. Rondelles in white. Now, this is a beautiful, almost sort of pearlescent white. It's a little bit bright on the board, but they are absolutely gorgeous. Maybe we'll work with those. Who can say? You get to choose in a minute, actually, which of those 3 you'd like to work with today. We've also got some rectangles. I've got some really cool ones, which are called clear, but they've got gold sides. How awesome are they? Can you imagine how many rings you could make with one of those as a centerpiece? Loads and loads and loads and loads, as they say somewhere. Probably that was a terrible accent. Many thousands of apologies. So I've got clear rectangles. We've also got what they lovingly refer to as brown. Now, I would have called these amber tone. They are gorgeous. A little bit like 1970s smoky glass. It's beautiful. And can you see how it changes when my skin is behind it? I adore that. Jessica's not in Florida today. I'm in Bangor, Maine, visiting the family. Well, I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful time. Whenever I hear anybody talk about Bangor in Maine, I immediately think of Stephen King. A couple of his stories have been set in that general area. If he's not your cup of tea, then I'm sure there are other authors from that zone that you can think of instead. So the trio strands are very cool. It's not 3 separate strands of beads. It's 3 segments of different beads on one strand. I've got teal, pink, red, tan, crystal, and purple. I'm really drawn to the crystal because it has that beautiful AB, Aurora Borealis coating. So you've got trio strands to think about as well. Lots and lots to make with at Walmart. Let's pop those out of the way. So let's bring back in the bracelets that I made. My husband wants to know, will I ever make anything or just keep buying beads? The possibilities are endless. We are dragons, my friends. Dragons love to hoard beautiful things. Someday we'll make with them. Maybe. You don't have to. You can just enjoy the possibilities. Hello, everyone, says Tina. Hello, Tina. How are you? Where are you in from today? So these are a couple of stacking bangles that I made in advance of today's class, just because they happen to appeal to me. And if you know the reason why, you can say in the comments. I love red and black together. Now, this could be your Sweden colours, it could be your badminton colours, or it could be something else instead. Tina is in Austin. Marianne says she loves these mixes. Tina, hello to Texas. How's the weather today, my lovely? So we're going to make stacking bangles. You can make them all one colour, or you can mix them up. What do you want to work with today? Aqua cubes, the grey, or the white rondelles? I could even do a little bit of a blend of two of them if you fancy it. Guess I'm one of those dragons with multiple heads. Perhaps. Or maybe you just enjoy having a hoard of beautifulness. And I can't say as I blame you. Thank you for that. I've been validated by Jem. Absolutely. Rhode Island for Janet. Maryland for Margaret. Welcome, welcome. It's been pleasant, says Tina in Texas. Mint and grey. So I've got cubes and I've got the grey together. Jessica got in there first, so that's what we're going for today. I actually quite like the appeal of white and grey together, but I've got two big chunky rondelle strands there. Yes, says Anne, it is Deadpool and Wolverine. Congratulations. You don't win anything other than my absolute respect for knowing my tastes. Sunny says, do you use a different shape spacer when putting cube beads on a bangle? You can do. For the blue and the navy and gold, or yellow and blue if you prefer, it's all cubes. So you can mix and match if you like. Aloha from Hawaii. Aloha to you, my darling. Thank you for calling in today. It's lovely to have your company. Teresa says it's 81 in Tampa if you wanted to know. I always want to know because I'm jealous of your beautiful weather. We will work with Crystal another time, my darling, and thank you so much for the suggestion. Loving the aqua. It's stunning. It is very reminiscent to me, and I'm a huge fan of gemstones, but I love the opportunities presented by working with a plethora of these beautiful glass bead strands at Walmart by Jessie James Beads. So we are going to be working with the sultry sexy grey and the aqua cubes today. And I think probably the second size up, which I think was 5mm, but I could be wrong. So one of the intelligent things that happens with one of these glass strands from Walmart by Jessie James Beads is that it's on a monofilament. Zoe, who is Sue, who is Zoe, says hello from Northampton. It's just down the road from me. A local girl to you, Jem. Wishing we had a Walmart over here. These are lovely. Yeah, I know. Anne says, how was the movie? Let me just say this. I've seen it 3 times. Does that tell you how I thought the movie was? What you can do is what you can do is post the end of your monofilament back through the bead. However, for speed, I'm just going to cut that one off the end because otherwise I'll be here forever. I think we all know that I'm totally rubbish at threading beads on things, which is why it's something of a risk today for me to be doing this live with you. Normally I would pre-prepare a stage of the tutorial and have it all lined up. So I'm just going to scooch those up a little bit out of the way for now, and we'll see how we go. So I'm going to start with some 18 gauge round wire. This is a medium temper, and I'm starting off with 12 inches. If you're looking to create a very large piece, if you're looking to work for a wrist that is larger than the average, then you might like to add a couple of inches to that length. But to be honest with you, 12 inches is a fairly good place to start. So I'm going to smooth through. Again, this is medium temper copper wire. It's 18 gauge and there are 12 inches. It's nice and toasty warm now. How was the movie? She says, it was amazing. It was amazing. I loved it. Those colours are representing what we're talking about. Oh my goodness. They are beautiful beads. So what we're going to do is to come around about 1.5 inches along from one end. And we are going to create a right angle bend. We're going to start by making a small wrapped loop. So you could go 1 or 2 on your multi-step bail makers, or you could go about 1/3 of the way down your round nose pliers if that's your preference. What we're doing here is starting off a loop so that we can thread our beads on. Now, whilst I'm threading those beads on, which will take a while because obviously I can't really see what I'm doing, wrap that all the way around so you've got a nice round form on the end. What we'll do is we'll have a bit of a chat about anything you fancy whilst we're threading those beads on. So a nice roundish form. It's going to be covered up, to be perfectly honest. So if it's imperfect, don't fret. And also if it's your first time working with wire, congratulations for making a really smart choice. It's so much fun and you can make almost anything. So I've got that little round form on the end of my, it was 12 inches in length of that 18 gauge round, and I'm going to wrap the tail of wire around a good couple of times. Just twice is plenty, and that will be a nice strong connection point. We're looking for this to be a nice strong bangle. So if I trim that away with the flash side of my cutters. Now, if I'm getting this a bit closer to the camera, it'll go slightly blurry, but what it means is you'll be able to see there's a sticky uppy bit. We don't want a sticky uppy bit. We want that end to be nice and smooth. So I'm going to grip the round form with a second set of pliers. And then I'm going to use my chain nose pliers, which are tapering flat pliers, two flat faces that come together. I tend to use bent chain nose pliers because it means I can show you things on the camera that otherwise it would be tricky for you to see. So as long as you've got some pliers that are flat, you'll be able to achieve this. You don't need a huge amount of new equipment to make jewellery with wire. So why don't you tell me what your favourite colour was on the strands that I've shown you while I add some of these beads on. Now, I'm going to start with one of the rondelles, just because I think that at the end, that can look quite nice if you're doing rondelles and cubes. So you tell me which was your favourite of the colourways. And if you've been down to your local Walmart, what have they got from Jessie James Beads that has caused you excitement? What beads are on show? What are you working on your mat right now? Talk to me, gentle people. Let's add some more of those beads on. What we're looking to do is to create a pattern. So I'm going for two-tone today. Two-tone is interesting and it adds a little bit of dynamism that you wouldn't necessarily have if you just chose the one color. However, if you used something like the trio strands, let me just pop one in. Let's grab that one. Then you already have that dynamism with those mixed beads. Of course, you could always buy multiple strands of the glass 4-strand sets or the cubes, whatever you fancy. It already looks pretty, says Janine. That's really kind of you. Thank you. Dorothy, good morning to you. How are you, sweetheart? Where are you watching from today? I'm guessing by morning you're slightly more to the... Oh, no, actually, it's morning everywhere in the US, isn't it? Do you know what? I've only been working with Jessie James Beads for about 3-something years now. Over 3 years, is it? Pretty sure it is. And I still don't understand time zones. Greetings from the third coast. We're waiting for a storm. Looks like it mostly misses my area, but will come ashore in Louisiana. Good luck. Stay safe. Much love to you. I hope that all will remain well. So as at the moment, I've got, let's say, probably about 5 inches worth of beading. So I think we're going to need a few more than that. So let's snake a few off that bead strand. Where's the end gone? This is the story of my life. Losing the beads, or they fly onto the floor, one or the other. Stay safe, my lovely. Dorothy is also in Florida. Is it warm for you as well, my darling? A little bit humid, so I've heard. Carrie is in. Hi to you. Welcome. I hope that you are all well. Jessica says it's pretty already. She's very kind, is that Jessica? Very talented creator and very, very sweet to be joining us today. Sending huggles to everyone. Zandra says, my Walmart has loads of sets with findings and all. I think there were 5 or 6 colour sets. They only had a few of the single strand. Hey, any bead's a good bead, right? Any Jessie James bead is a good bead. Dorothy says it's very hot and humid. That sounds like Florida. Let's have a look at that then. So what we're going to do, being mindful of the loop, and what I want is for that neater side of the loop, which you're looking at right now, the one where you can't see the end, to be on the outside of a circular form. Now, if you're very, very gentle, you could help this along by using a wooden block or a can of drink, anything in your home that is round will help you, as long as you're gentle with those beads and you don't force that curve. I like to do that by hand because it gives me an idea of how many more beads I need to add on. So we're going to keep going. South Florida is always hot. When I went to Florida in 1989 and 1990, we stayed over the New Year. It was fabulous. We drove all the way down to the Keys and we couldn't find anywhere to stay. So we slept in a car just on that little road that joins all those teeny tiny keys at the very, very bottom. It was wonderful. We woke up to a great squawking as one of those giant, basically dinosaur birds was nesting on a telegraph pole overhead. Happy memories. I went with me mum and it was wonderful. Not much in my local Walmart yet, says Cherie. Hopefully more will come to you. Hopefully more will arrive soon, my darlings. So what do you reckon? Are we liking the colour combination? Should we keep going? It's probably a good idea because it's my least skilled thing, actually, is threading beads onto stranding material. It can take a while. So what we're going to do is, as we continue to add beads, we're going to allow a little bit of a space between those two last beads and just pinch that all together and try to get that on your wrist whilst folding your thumb down if you're able to. Now, if you're not able to, you may prefer to have two loops on the end and join the two ends together with a simple clasp, in which case you can take a few of those beads back off, create another wrapped loop as we did at the beginning. Into one of those, you can add the clasp of your choice. I know not everybody can fold their thumb in for a bangle to work. Luckily, my thumb still works. I've got lots of arthritis in the wrist and two of those fingers, but my thumb still operates, so that's a win for me. So I'm going to call time on the threading on of beads. That looks like it's going to be about the right size, given that I'm allowing for a second loop to occur just here. So I'm keeping that quite round. I like my bangles to be quite round. You might prefer to use an oval formation, especially if you're going to add in the clasp of your choice. I would recommend something like an oversized lobster clasp. It may be known by a different name where you are. Sometimes they're called parrot clasps, or you could just go for a bolt ring clasp. Whatever makes you happy. We call that car camping down here in Florida. Yes, I wasn't 100% sure how legal it was, but I was only 15 and it really wasn't my call. So I'm going to keep an extra grey rondelle and an extra aqua bead cube to one side for a second. And I'm just going to scooch everything else up a little bit out of the way for now. So in order to tie this together, if we're going to make a firm closed bangle, Dorothy says, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Sorry you couldn't find a hotel. It was our own fault. We were very naive. We just assumed there'd be motels, but some of them were shut. It's all good. We had an amazing, amazing time. My partner wonders if they can stock them in Asda as it's owned by Walmart, says Zoe. Yeah, do you know what? I did think about contacting Asda. I need to speak to Sarah about that. So what I'm going to do now is to hold my pliers across that wire. As it comes out the end, I'm making sure that my beads are stacked, but they're not under any hard pressure. These are glass. It's 18 gauge medium temper wire, Dorothy. And I'm going to push that into the center of my design. So that's gone inwards. And I'm just showing you that on the overhead camera for a second so you can see. Let's tidy that out of the way so you can see the direction that needs to move in. Diamonds and things. I miss Panama City Beach so much. Lived there for quite a while. It sounds divine. I do love the beach. Sunny says, I bought the pastel mix because I thought they were all glass beads. They're very, very pretty, even though they're not all glass beads. Do you know what? Sneaky peek. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show you this or not, but coming soon. Whoop. That's using more beads from Jessie James from one of those big mixes. There's so many beads to work with. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to use my multi-step bail makers. You could, of course, go in with your standard round nose pliers. I don't think that bird was on a telegraph pole by 1989, 1990. They were outdated and all been transformed into telephone poles. Yeah, do you know what? That's what I meant. We just still call them telegraph poles. Sorry about Joey. He's being a bit noisy there. Go on, go see. There you go. We just still call them telegraph poles, even though I know that they're telephone poles. Hush now. Let's make half a loop. Bear with me a second. I'm just going to close the door up. There we go. Joey can go and bark at whatever drama he's imagining just for a hot second. So I've taken the wire inwards, but you'll see that there's a gap between that last bead and the bend. I'm going to use, I think, probably number 2 on my bell makers, which is probably about a third of the way down on your round nose pliers. And I'm just going to make half a loop. So if we take that a little bit further away and just rotate the wire around, use your finger to help it, you've got that half loop shape. And then what I'm going to do is carefully open up the design and slide that tail end through so that it fits inside. Now, at the moment, that's slightly taken out of that perfect round shape, but don't worry, because we will be fixing that in a moment. What we're going to do now is to kind of sneak our bail makers back in and draw that wire around whilst it's looped in. Now, it's not a perfect circle, but that's fine. It gives us enough of a shape that we can then just pull that into position, and you end up with a fairly round shape just like so. So I'm going to grip across that loop now, pull the wire around the neck, and just take that 1.5 times so it reflects what we did on the other side. At that point, you can just take a moment to make sure that your bangle is nice and round. Now, I know you're teasing me, Teresa. It's absolutely fine. I love it and I enjoy it. It's all good. Cute little puppers. They're beautiful boys. They're just being a bit noisy. Can you show us how to make a nice closer for a men's bracelet? I will work on that. Sunny says, hi, Joey, bark, bark, tummy rubs. He would love that ever so much. What I'm going to do now is to use my round pliers to create a spiral. Now, I have left around about 1 inch of wire. So if you are making for a much larger hand or a much larger wrist, do indeed increase that wire quantity. We started off with around about 12 inches today, which is making a fairly average sized bangle. Do increase that if you need to make a larger than average bangle. So let's start with the tip of the round nose pliers. At the very tip of that wire, start rotating that around until you get almost a circular form. Just tilt that, you should be able to see it's not quite a full circle. And then we're going to push that into the wire, and in that way you get a nice open center to your spiral. Now, I always say with spirals, the slower you go, the better it looks, the neater it looks, and the rounder your end product will appear. So what we're going to do with this spiral is, you can see it sticking out at a jaunty angle. What I want to do is to draw that over the top of one of those loops so that it sits neatly like so. So at the moment, we've got quite an attractive little spiral sitting over the top of that closure. So we've hidden that enclosure up, which is great, but I want to add more. Let's add a dangly bit on the end. Now, for the piece which is most similar to the one we're making, which is rondelles and cubes, we've made rondelles and cubes again, but in that teal and sexy grey. What I've done is I've added both colourways to my charm, which we're going to add on in just a second. When I made the piece, which was all cubes, albeit in 2 different colours, I started and finished in one colour and then had a single bead in the opposite colour. So it kind of matches in, but you can absolutely 100% play around with that design. The possibilities are endless. So I have some scrap wire from my desk just now, and I'm going to trim away around about 3.5 to 4 inches. We're just going to make sure that both of those ends are flush cut. They are indeed. That was lucky. And I'm going to make another little spiral. So gripping the end of that wire, again, very close to the end of the wire, close to the tip of those pliers. Katney says, hi, Jem, just made it. Looks like you're about to finish up. You can catch me on replay, my darling. And I do suggest you do, not because I want you to watch my tutorial, but because I want you to see all of the beautiful glass strands that we have at Walmart at the moment from Jessie James Beads. Jill says, hi, lovely. Had to laugh when I saw the red and yellow ones. Can't think why. So I'm going to repeat exactly the same technique as I did a moment ago with that spiral. So I've started off by creating that round form, and I'm now going to continue to push that along. Now, if you want a large spiral, you can just keep going. Go as many times as you want to. But I think 2 turns from that center point, so around once, around a second time, is plenty to match up with the size of the beads we're working with today. That was indeed a Joey hair on the desk. Sorry about that, guys. Let's pop those pliers across the wire. And what we're going to do, let's just tilt that in the light, is pull that away so that it sits on the end of that straight piece of wire. And before we go any further, we're just going to make that nice and strong. A little bit of warmth through the straight tail and a little bit of strength in that spiral. Now, if you have a hammer and block, feel free to give that a little bit of a tap, but no further than just past that angle change. Give it a couple of squishes with your flat facing pliers like so, and that will keep it nice and strong. So let's add those beads on. Now, my preference will always be for the slightly larger bead to go on at the bottom, followed by the slightly smaller bead. But you can 100% do that in whatever order you like, as long as you like it. So the next thing we're going to do is to protect the upper bead with your thumbnail. If you haven't got any thumbnail at all, then just be mindful that you're not putting a bend in the wire too close to that bead. I'll show you what you would do without a thumbnail, which is to just hold it that little bit further away. So you can see a gap between the bead and the pliers. What I'm going to do is pop my thumbnail over the top and then pull that wire away at a right angle. We probably didn't need quite this much wire for a smaller spiral, but just in case you wanted a larger one. So what we are going to do now, I think again, I'm going to use number 2 on those bail makers. Just roll that around until we get a loop shape. Like so. That actually might not be large enough. I think I'm going to open that back out. Now, if you make a loop shape like so, and you think, gosh, that's definitely not going to be large enough for what I want, apply a little bit of warmth to that loop and just gently open that out. And you can almost instantly, without even using a set of pliers, create yourself a slightly larger loop. Because you warm the wire before you start working it, it gives you options. So once we've got that slightly larger loop shape, I'm going to open that loop up as if it was a jump ring. So now we have a gap. You can see the gap up here. And I'm going to thread that through not just the spiral, but one of the loops. And this is going to make for a really secure closure on that closed bangle. So that's just slid through. I'm going to do that again because it's a bit like a magic trick. I really like it. So through the spiral sitting on top of the loop. So it's going to go blurry because my focal zone is a little bit further down. Put the tail all the way through both the spiral center and one of the loops. Doesn't matter which one. You can twist it around if it's not in the right orientation and allow that to sit down so that the loop sits through the loops. You then have the opportunity to do a little bit of doubling over. You can add a very simple closure if you want to. Just go for a simple loop, which is where you would cut the wire off just at that angle change. Let's just hold that in the light slightly better. So just at the angle change there, you can trim the wire away. Or if you like, you can wrap it around just a teeny tiny bit to add some extra security. I think that this is going to be nice and strong anyway. So I'm going to show you that trim. Cut the wire away at the angle change. Give yourself a few extra seconds to make sure that that loop is lovely, and then give it a squish and a squeeze to make it nice and strong. So I don't know whose team colours these are. Whose team is a sultry grey and a beautiful teal? I am not 100% sure. Oh no, it was aqua. I beg your pardon. This is aqua. Let me get those strand collections back in. I got confused because the teal trio was here. That would make a very beautiful bracelet. You might wish to put a couple of strands together, or you can mix and match those cube strands if you like. So let's just hold on to the end of this for a hot second so it doesn't all spoot off into forever. So you can pop a bead back on. I'm going to show you how to use that as a bead stopper, which is just passing that monofilament back through in the same direction. You guys probably know a lot more about threading beads on materials than I do. My area of joy is working with wire. So again, you can replace any that you haven't used, circle that around. Almost Beetlejuice, says Janine. Oh, what a good film that's going to be. I haven't seen it yet, but I am looking forward to giving that a try. Hi, Jem. Jolly good afternoon, darling. Good afternoon to you, Zakia. How are you? Where are you watching today? And how indeed is the weather? So there are our stacking bangles using 18 gauge wire. Slide that on, slide that right back off again. The joy of not putting too much pressure and tension is that those beads will roll. So if you do make it a little bit small, you can just give it a very gentle squeeze to take it out of true round, slide it on over, and it's small enough that it doesn't fall off, but big enough that you don't have to actually dislocate a thumb. So which was your favorite strand today? Let's get them back on the board. I've got the grey and aqua in multi-strands there. This is Walmart by Jessie James Beads. We've got cubes in, I'm going to go out on a limb and call them coffee amber. Sarah will probably tell me that that is not what they are called. There we go. I'm being rebellious. Rectangles in clear, but look at that gorgeous gold outside. Beautiful gem, says Jessica. Thank you ever so much, my darling. That's jolly sweet of you. Let's see what other trios we've got. I've got a teal trio. I've got a purple trio. Let's just pop these little babies over here. What else have we got? Oh, there's a pink trio. That's quite festive. Crackles in the middle there. Those are lovely. They catch the light beautifully. We have got a red trio. We have got some more multi-strands. I've got white rondelles. The black rondelles that I used to make the Deadpool flavoured one. Alongside the red cubes. Oh yes, they might have gone together there. And then there were yellow cubes and navy cubes as well. Could that be Wolverine? It might just be. I've also got that glorious crystal trio and the tan trio, which is a beautiful, that can take you every season. Very, very beautiful strands. So let's see. Okay, everything is beautiful, says Kerry. Thank you so much. The Nightmare Before Christmas is a great movie too. The trios, Marianne loves the trios. Diamonds and Things loves the trios. Anne says red and black are my favourite. Beautiful bangles. Jessica says I want to see Deadpool. Well, my love, I very much endorse this film. It's fantastic. It's very rude. So if you don't like naughty language, consider sticking your fingers in your ears and go for the visuals. If you like a little bit of retro music, yes. I'm not going to do any plot spoilers, but some of the cameos are insane. Which was your favourite? The Deadpool, the Wolverine, or the teal and sexy grey? Which ones do you like best? Shakisha says, Jem and friends, happy Tuesday. That's fabulous. It's lovely to have your company. I'm a cube girl too, says Marianne. I love naughty language, says Jessica. You're going to love that film then, darling. And if you like dancing, I mean, if you've been on the internet since the middle of July, you probably will have seen some about it. So sparkly, the Deadpool bracelet. Janine is here for the teal bracelet. Jill says she's waiting for it to come on Disney. Me too. I reckon the end of October. Somebody in the industry said the end of October, but we shall see. Teal, sorry, Jem, I know you're loving the film bracelets. Oh my goodness, no. This is why we have the choices. The possibilities with these Make It at Walmart glass strands are literally endless. There are so many colour choices, and also Stay there, because have you seen the pastel mix? I've made with the pastel mix and it's still virtually full. Hold on a minute. I have made with the storm mix and it's still virtually full. I haven't worked with the pink one yet, but look at that gold in there as well. Wow, how awesome are they? And these are also bulk packs that are available at Walmart alongside our beautiful glass strands. Thank you ever so much for hanging out with me today here at Jessie James Beads. My name is Jem and today we made it with Walmart. Have yourself a beautiful rest of the day. If you have any questions at all, just tag me on the Facebook page where this video is being broadcast at the same time as on YouTube, and I will endeavour to come back to you. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.